All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving deep into the silicon that's really powering the AI revolution. We're going to talk about the secret engine behind one of the most advanced AI models out there, Google's Gemini 3. And this is a story about a very specialized challenger taking on the reigning, undisputed champion. And really, this one quote, this is the key to understanding everything we're about to cover. Think about it. One tool is designed to do pretty much everything well, while the other is purpose-built to do just one thing perfectly. So let's start with that reigning champ.
First, we've got to set the stage here. And for the better part of a decade, the entire AI landscape has been completely dominated by one specific piece of hardware.
You know it as the GPU, the Graphics Processing Unit. Now, these things were originally built for video games, right? To render amazing graphics. But it just so happens that the kind of math they do, running tons of simple calculations all at once, was perfect for artificial intelligence. And just like that, they became the industry standard.
And it's wild just how dominant GPUs became. They really are that Swiss Army knife, perfect for AI, but also for complex scientific research, and yeah, still for making your video games look amazing. That incredible versatility, plus this super powerful software platform called CUDA, let NVIDIA capture, get this, 85 to 90% of the entire AI hardware market. They are the absolute Goliath in this story.
But here's the thing. While the rest of the world was buying up every GPU they could find, Google was quietly in its lab building its own challenger. Not another Swiss Army knife, but a scalpel, custom-made for one job and one job only. And here it is, the TPU, or Tensor Processing Unit. Now, unlike a GPU, which is a general-purpose tool, a TPU is what's called an ASIC, an application-specific integrated circuit. That's a fancy way of saying Google built this thing from the ground up with a single mission, to absolutely crush the specific type of math, these tensor operations that are at the very heart of all modern AI.
And look, this wasn't just some one-off side project. Google has been grinding away at this for almost 10 years. It started back in 2015 with a chip that could only run models that were already trained. But they kept at it, year after year, all the way to the newest Trillium chip, which boasts almost 5 times the performance of its predecessor. This relentless, rapid evolution just goes to show how serious Google is about building a real, world-class alternative.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question. How does the specialized scalpel actually perform when you put it up against the mighty Swiss Army knife? Let's put them head-to-head and find out. All right, let's meet our contenders. In this corner, we have the NVIDIA A100, the go-to workhorse of the entire AI industry for years. And in the other corner, Google's TPU V4, a generalist powerhouse versus a purpose-built specialist.
And right out of the gate, when it comes to its home turf, training massive AI models, the TPU V4 system can be up to 1.7 times faster than a comparable setup of A100s. Now that might not sound like a huge number, but when you're training a model for weeks or even months, that is a massive speed advantage.
But wait, speed is only half the battle. This is where it gets really interesting. Look at the efficiency. To get that faster speed, the TPU system uses way less power. We're talking about consuming almost half the energy of its GPU rival to do the same job, but faster.
So what does that actually mean in the real world? Well, it means running a big AI job on a Google Cloud TPU cluster can use about 3 times less energy than running that exact same job on a typical GPU setup you might have in your own data center.
And this is the one that really blows my mind. That incredible energy efficiency translates to roughly 20 times lower carbon emissions for the same task. In an age where we're building these massive, power-hungry AI data centers, that is an absolute game changer.
Okay, so the numbers look great on paper, right? The TPU is faster, it's way more efficient, but can that specialized little scalpel actually perform the most complex, most demanding surgery in the entire AI world, building a true frontier AI model? I mean, this is really the ultimate test, isn't it? Can being super specialized at the hardware level actually lead to a win at the very highest level of AI development?
So first, let's look at the patient on the operating table. Gemini 3. Which came out in late 2025, is a monster of a model. We're talking about a system that can understand 1 million tokens of context. That's like feeding it an entire epic novel in one go, and it just aces these incredibly complex PhD-level exams across text, images, and audio.
And here's the knockout punch, the big reveal.
Google didn't use a single third-party GPU to build this thing. From the very first experiment to the final product that you and I can use, Gemini 3 was born and raised entirely on Google's own TPU infrastructure.
You have to understand, this was a massive moment. It was the first time ever that a top-tier, frontier AI model was created completely outside of that dominant GPU ecosystem. As one industry analysis put it, this was, quote, the first real challenge to NVIDIA's dominance.
Okay, so let's take a step back. What does this all actually mean for the future? Because the success of Gemini 3 running on TPUs, that's not just a cool technical achievement. It signals a really fundamental shift in the entire AI landscape.
At the end of the day, it really just boils down to economics. Because TPUs are so specialized, they give you more bang for your buck, better performance for every dollar you spend. And we're seeing this out in the real world. A company called Assembly AI, which does speech-to-text AI, reported they got up to 4 times more work done for their money using TPUs. That directly lowers the cost of building and running the next generation of AI for everyone.
So what are the big lessons here? Well, the TPU's success totally changes the game. It shows that maybe that one-size-fits-all hardware model isn't the best way forward anymore. It makes energy efficiency a critical battleground, not just a nice-to-have. And it proves that building your own custom chip and tightly weaving it together with your own software, that's called vertical integration, is an incredibly powerful strategy.
And all of this leads us to the one final critical question that the entire tech industry is wrestling with right now. Is the era of that do-everything Swiss Army knife giving way to a new era of highly specialized scalpels?
The success of Gemini 3 on TPUs really seems to suggest that as this AI arms race gets more intense and the models get more powerful, having your own custom-built engine, well, it might not just be an advantage anymore, it might just be the price of admission to compete at the very top.